I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to get every episode of We're From The Internet at least a day earlier than the iTunes and Stitcher folk? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/pledge to support us on Patreon, and as well as early access, we'll throw in an exclusive weekly show just for our patrons too.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi. This is how we ended up with 450 reviews on Mature Gamer Podcast on iTunes, because for the first 150 of those reviews, we just asked our listeners to go on there and tell us whether they preferred Coke or Pepsi. Do you remember?
You know, that sort of battle, to me, is quite straightforward, because it depends what you're drinking. If you're drinking it neat on its own, then I think I'd go with Coke. But if I was having it with something like whiskey, I'd have it with Coke as well. But if I was having it with Malibu or something girly, I'd have a Pepsi.
Why?
Because Pepsi's sweeter, and if I'm having a girly drink, I probably want something a bit sweet.
But
whereas
Malibu is already sweet because of all the nasty coconutty stuff in it.
But it goes well with Pepsi, whereas vodka and Coke or whiskey and Coke go quite well because you're not drinking whiskey or vodka for something sugary. You're drinking it
to look like a man.
I don't know. No, you're drinking it because you want the whiskiness or the. I don't really want the vodkiness, but you do. Pepsi and vodka would make me feel really, really ill because it'd just be sickly, and vodka's sickly enough on its own. I think
weird.
No, I think that's sound science.
I've started drinking gin and tonic lately.
I noticed when you sent me. I told you the other day I can't really record tonight, and you just sent me a picture of you sat in a garden with a box of gin and tonic, or a bottle of gin and a box of tonic.
Yeah.
Doesn't it just taste like sour water?
I used to think so, but then I had tried one at Christmas. I mean, I've regularly tried them over the years, but I had one at Christmas and really enjoyed it.
What, does it taste sweet or?
No, it's just really refreshing and delicious. I think it's just as my old man mouth is coming in. It was weird. I expected that to come in, but I'd started liking Scotch 2 years ago, I think.
Well, you know,
and this has come after Scotch. I would have expected it to be before.
I couldn't drink whiskey when I was 18, 19.
Nobody can. It's not possible.
No, well, all my friends bloody could.
Yeah, but they were faking. They didn't
I reckon
like
they probably were. I reckon they must have been.
Yeah, of course
they'd all be buying bottles of whiskey, Jack Daniels and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they were faking.
Whereas I just couldn't do it. Whereas now, I started drinking honey Jack Daniels and quite enjoyed it and thought this is brilliant. And then somebody offered me just Jack Daniels and Coke and it was fine. And I'm slowly getting into that and I'm thinking this all tastes quite nice. So you're telling me gin and tonic is on the horizon?
Gin and tonic, yeah. I'm going off beer, actually. I can see myself at MGPX this year sitting there with Pumba at the bar having my pints of gin and tonic with him. I'll have a Pumba, please. Go and ask for one of them.
I wouldn't be able to handle that. I'd be a mess. So will you, I imagine.
Well, I won't have as many of them as he has.
No, I didn't mean that. A pint of it.
I could have a pint. Well, I imagine I had a couple of pints of it on Friday.
Yeah, but drawn out over an evening.
Yeah, but I wouldn't stand there and down a pint of it. I don't know. When I was cooking dinner the other night, I had 3 gin and tonics while I was cooking. That must add up to nearly a pint.
I don't know. Maybe
that would be 3 double gins and 3 cans of slimline tonic. That's probably more than a pint of gin and tonic.
Maybe. See, I'm all right. When I had the honey
it's
Jack
delicious.
I was drinking a lot of that. I'd have about 8 of them a night. Which
8 bottles, you mean?
No, but that'd probably be about 2 pints, wouldn't it? I guess.
Yeah. You're a monster.
Our spirits are less fattening. I mean, honey Jack Daniels wouldn't be, but
I think it would be. Then a pint of beer. Even honey Jack Daniels is going to be less calories than a whole pint of beer. A pint of beer is like 200 calories, whereas if you have a measure of whiskey, that's 40. And then if you have it with a diet mixer, you've got a 40-calorie drink then. So if you have it with a Diet Coke, you're getting your full beverage for 40 calories rather than 200, 250 for a pint of beer.
I could get hammered so much quicker.
Plus, you wouldn't be so fat.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should give up beer.
Do you know, I bought 4 beers the other day and drank them all while watching telly on Saturday.
Drank them all on the way home from the off-licence.
No,
out with a bag.
I sat there watching the football scores come in, started the beers, and by midnight I drank them all. And it was nice, but I did kind of feel a bit like the shops aren't stocking the ones I like as much anymore, and it's all...
Yeah, they don't have the really strong special brew, do they?
No, they don't have as many American IPAs as I want. I still have my every 3 months a big box of American beers comes through the post. It's quite cool. But I think in the meantime, I might survive on honey Jack Daniels.
You must be the only Englishman in the world who's importing American beers. It's usually the other way round, surely.
No, America has had a massive jump up the old charts. They make amazing drinks.
Budweiser.
No, there's a place in town that does them. You should go there and just drink them dry.
I'll have a gin and tonic.
We should start drinking there. They do excellent beers.
We don't drink anywhere. We don't go out.
Yeah, we should start going out to the American
we should start drinking.
Yeah, we should go there. We can, going back to one of the other episodes, we can watch some bands
It's 3:05
play.
in the morning. We can't start drinking now.
They sell steaks.
I'm in.
Yeah, they sell all sorts of American food.
I've been buying meat from Muscle Food website.
Yeah.
So, Muscle Food people, if you're hearing this, feel free to send me some free meat for mentioning you on the internet. But they had a brilliant Facebook advert that went out on Saturday afternoon for the Grand National. Obviously, it was Saturday afternoon weeks ago, but Saturday afternoon for the Grand National, it was something like, horse didn't win, buy some horse steaks. And they were offering people horse steaks for 2 for a $5, whatever it was. I was this close to buying some horse steaks.
Why didn't you?
Because, I don't know, it just still seems a little bit weird. I got a horse meat cookbook for Christmas, and...
Why?
Well, it was just in my stocking.
You get some weird things.
Yeah, I got a horse meat cookbook. I got the little bells you get on the desk in a hotel. I've got one of them that sits on my desk at school now.
I'd hit that so often.
Yeah, I do. I hit it constantly. The students hate it. I'm threatening to get an air horn now, just because they get so annoyed by that. And I tap along to Epic Sax Guy that's blasting out through the speakers and tapping along on my bell, and they all want to kill me. And I reckon if I had an air horn in the other hand, in between the bell rings, I'd be...
Do you think they like your lessons?
Oh, no, they hate it. But as soon as they get their work done, I stop. So it's their incentive to get their work done. I torture them until their work is complete.
Sounds like a plan.
But anyway, Coke or Pepsi, I was going somewhere when I mentioned this was how we got all our reviews for MGP. Feel free to use that again on We're From the Internet. If you don't want to write a full review, and that's what's holding you back from reviewing us on iTunes, and we've been doing this a month now. We're getting into this now. We should be 100, 150 reviews by this point, and we're not. So just go on there. Just one word. Coke or Pepsi? Tell us what you prefer. We're interested if things have changed in the last 4 years since we did it on MGP.
I would think... See, for me, as I've already explained, there's 2 different scenarios there as to when I drink them. The bigger questions for me would be Cherry Coke or Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper, because Cherry Coke tastes like us.
And Sprite or 7-Up.
My view on that one has changed recently. I used to love Sprite, but 7-Up's got lime in as well, hasn't it? Whereas
So Sprite, isn't it?
No, I think Sprite's just fancy lemonade. It's millionaire's lemonade. But 7-Up, I'm really getting into 7-Up again. I liked 7-Up as a kid, because I liked Fido Dido. But then as a teenager, I drifted over to Sprite, mainly because of my loyalty to the Coca-Cola Corporation. So because I liked Coke and Dr. Pepper and Fanta, I felt I should prefer Sprite. So for 10, 15 years, I always had Sprite because it's from the same beverage family. But now I'm willing to experiment a little bit more. I tried some 7-Up and it was delightful.
I think I've had 7-Up in over a decade.
Did you know, in the rest of the world, 7-Up and Dr. Pepper are the same company? But over here, Dr. Pepper is bottled by Coca-Cola and 7-Up is bottled by Pepsi. Whereas if you go into Europe or America, Dr. Pepper and 7-Up are a company among themselves, separate from both of them.
And why don't they do Dr. Pepper in restaurants and bars?
Because of licensing. Because it's a separate company. It's not part of Coca-Cola. They just have the license to can it and bottle it here, but they don't have the license to distribute it to restaurants and stuff.
You should can it and bottle it.
Coca-Cola do that. I should distribute it to restaurants. We just went through that, weren't you listening? And anyway, what do we need Dr. Pepper for? We've got Dr. Fizz.
They sell boxes of Dr. Pepper syrup on Amazon. I was so close to buying one. They're £70 though. But I just
how long is that going to last you? You've got a soda stream. That can last you forever.
I was just going to stick my head in it and...
But then you'd die.
Yeah.
Want to get your question answered on a future episode of We're From the Internet? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/question, tweet your questions at KevinSteve, email kevinsteve@gmail.com or post them at facebook.com/KevinSteve, or even leave them in the comments for this episode.